Hello everyone, welcome to a replica airguns video. My name is Michael K, and I'm doing my first sniper rifle review. Now this is an Airsoft sniper rifle by ASG. It's the AW 308 Accuracy International sniper rifle. Now I really don't have anything I can compare it to, because I don't have any guns like this, other than maybe some spring piston air rifles that I have, but they're not replicas of any gun, they're just actually target rifles. Now this is a bolt action spring operated gun, so it doesn't require any CO2 or batteries. It's a licensed replica of the real Accuracy International AW 308. This gun uses 6mm plastic Airsoft BBs. It has a 28 round dropout metal magazine. It weighs 3 kilograms or 6.61 pounds and has a claimed feet per second of 449 using 0.20 gram plastic Airsoft BBs. This gun has a metal barrel, bolt and rail system, and a polymer frame. And as I said, this gun is made by ASG, or Action Sport Games. Now it does come in a nice box. I'll just kind of try and show you. It's hard with this camera setup. It's taking up my whole table. But it comes in a nice cardboard box. It's foam lined. See here. So you can get it in there, most of it. Adjustable hop up, nice. Now inside the box you get a sling. It's an okay sling, you know there's better slings, but hey, it's free, it comes with it. Comes with a couple Allen keys for adjusting your hop up and also assembling the gun, because the barrel and receiver section are not actually attached. It's just simply 2 screws that are already in the stock, join the barrel to the stock. You also get a small bottle of BBs, they're 0.20 gram BBs. And of course you get your manual. Now it's kind of a bare bones manual. There's a few things that weren't explained in it. I'll be talking about that later. I'm hoping that someone from ASG or someone who knows this gun a little better will help us out with one thing that I discovered. I'll talk about that a little bit here. But it was kind of unusual, and it's not even described in this manual at all. So let's take a quick walk around this gun. It's going to be a little difficult. This is a big gun and I've got my camera out. I'm actually viewing from a little bit different angle than I normally do, to try and get the best angle possible, because this gun doesn't really want to lie down too well with all the stuff sticking out from it. But we'll take a look here. We're going to look at the right side quickly. I'll go over some of the key components, and then I'll talk a little bit more on the left side about some of the parts. So you can see here we have our safety. I'll bring it up. Oh, this is awkward, but I'll bring it up. We have our safety here. I don't know how the lighting's going to work. I'm trying to get the lighting in here. We have our bolt. Okay. Metal receiver area, metal Picatinny rail, and metal barrel, polymer frame, polymer stock, and it's kind of got a rubberized cheek rest, sort of a plasticky rubber cheek rest, and a rubber buttstock. Now these aren't adjustable because, I don't know why, but they look like they're adjustable, but they're not. I've tried to adjust them. There's nothing in the manual that says you can. So I'm assuming that you cannot adjust the actual rear stock, butt plate, and the cheek rest. Now with that in mind, I didn't need to. I felt that they were pretty comfortable the way they were. You can always adjust your scope a little forward or back if you need a little more length or shortness to it. Now I want to show you, I put on this bipod. It doesn't come with a bipod. It doesn't come with a sighting system, so keep that in mind. You're going to need to buy a scope or something, some sort of sights. And you're going to need to buy a bipod if you plan on shooting this from a rested position. You'll also notice that there are these rings here on both sides for your sling, and in the back here. I'm trying to manhandle this gun. I'm trying to work around my computer and everything. This is a big gun. My setup is not really geared for this. Let's take a look at the other side really quick. Actually, hold on, before I do that, you'll see that it comes with the Max Jewel sticker, and you've also got your ASG branding here. I'm trying to work around the lighting. See that in caliber. Alright, switch this around. Alright, so on the other side, pretty simple on this side. You do have your branding here, your Accuracy International. Got some fingerprints on here. International England. Not too much really going on here. I didn't mention the trigger. The trigger is metal, and it's got a sort of a safety built into it. you can see here. Alright. Again, you've got your sling there, points on both sides. See it on this side. It's right there as well. Now underneath, there's a couple things I want to address. Here's where your magazine comes out, right there. You'll notice it's forward. The actual magazine would normally be back here, because that's where your bolt is, right? If your bolt's on the back side, here, the magazine would be fed in here. Now I'm not sure why they put it here. It might have to do with barrel length. Maybe the optimal barrel length for this gun is the length that this is. So like, you know, if they put it a little further back, they might have had too much barrel resistance and actually slowed down the BB. I'm not sure why. It doesn't really matter. It seems to work pretty good. Now the other thing I'm going to mention right now is this. There's no mention of it in the manual whatsoever. When I got this gun, I pulled the bolt back, spring engaged, and shot it, dry fired it. It says you can dry fire it in the manual. It wasn't a big deal. But then a little bit later on, I couldn't get the spring to engage. I'd pull the bolt back, but the spring wouldn't engage. It's like I was pulling the bolt back and nothing was happening. Then I just kind of stumbled on this. I was about to call her quits. I pushed this down, pulled the bolt back. Now the bolt is a little bit more draggy when you do this, and it engaged. Especially when you move it forward, there's more drag on the barrel with this part down. But what I found, and you see I can't even, now hopefully I don't have any BBs in here. I'm pretty sure I emptied it. If I do shoot it, it's going to go up into my ceiling, but that's okay. No big deal. Okay, now you can push that in, and after you do that, the bolt seems to work fine again. So if anybody knows exactly what the purpose of this is, I think it's a reset for the bolt if your spring, for some reason, isn't working. Now it's only happened a few times. Generally speaking, once you're shooting, everything's good, but if that does happen, if the spring doesn't engage, I just pop that little reset down, fire a shot, put it back up, and we're all good to go again. So if anybody knows exactly what it's for, maybe I'm on the right track, then please let us know. Now the magazine, getting back to it. Now the magazine holds 28 rounds, very easy to load. The gun, sorry, does come with a speed loader too. I forgot to mention that. It does come with a really kind of inexpensive speed loader, but it works just fine. And I was able to put 28 easy in here. You could probably get 30 in here, but if you put too many in, you won't be able to put the magazine in because they've actually got to compress in a little bit. So don't put any more than 28 to 30 for sure. Alright, so at this point we're going to go outside, we're going to shoot some rounds through this gun. We're going to put some .20 gram BBs through the chronograph to see how close we get to the claimed 449. Then I'm going to put some .36 gram BBs through the chronograph and see what kind of velocities we get using the heavier BBs. I do want to say at this point, I spent a lot of money on these BBs. The higher gram BBs are not cheap. How many are in here? There's, let's see, .36. There's 3,000 in here. $46, actually 47. So I went and spent a lot of money to make sure I had the right BBs for this gun because it really isn't going to perform the way you want it to until you get into the heavier BBs. And I'd say .35, .36 and higher, this gun likes them. And you'll see when we do the shooting test that that backs my claim. And that's what I went online and did a little bit of looking around and seeing what other people were using. And everybody seemed to like using heavy BBs in this gun. So after we do the chronograph test, I'm going to shoot this gun from 30 feet out, semi-rested position, see what kind of accuracy we can get, 5 shots. Then I'm going to pull the distance back a little further than normal because this is a sniper rifle and shoot it about 60 feet on target and see if we can get similar results. And I'm going to be using the heavy grain BBs for both of the accuracy tests. Alright, so let's head outside and see how well this gun performs. Alright, so we're here with my ASG AW 308 sniper rifle, airsoft sniper rifle that is. We're going to shoot 3 rounds first using .20 gram airsoft BBs, the plastic ones, of course. And then we're going to step it up a notch and we're going to shoot .36 gram airsoft BBs. And we'll see what the difference is now. The .20 grams are obviously going to go faster and that's what this gun is spec'd out for. But this gun likes to shoot heavier airsoft BBs and so we'll also chronograph those to see how fast they're going. Now during my accuracy portion of the test, I'm going to use the heavier BBs because I found that they do a lot better. The lighter BBs seem to be going maybe a little too fast and they like to fly around a little bit. Alright, So let's shoot this gun. First 3 rounds again, 0.2 gram. Here we go. Everything's still good. Here we go. 425. 422. And 425. So very consistent. Now the next one should be significantly lower. We're going to be shooting 0.36 gram. So let's give it a try. 308. 300. And 308 again. Now keep in mind, a 0.36 gram BB is similar in weight to a 4.5 millimeter BB, which is about 5.1 grain. They're very, very close in actual weight. So some air guns shoot around 300 using CO2 with 4.5 millimeter steel BBs. So this gun has fairly decent velocity considering the weight of the BB that's coming out of it, and that it's a simple bolt action using a spring. Alright, so we're going to move on to the target portion. I'm going to set up and shoot at 30 feet out in a semi-rested position, and then I'm going to try a little longer shooting. I don't know the exact range, but maybe I'm going to say 50 feet out, maybe a little further, 50 to 60 feet out. I'm going to shoot a few on target. Now, I might not actually video the target up close, but I'll do my best. Depends on if it rains or not or what's going on outside here. Alright, so let's get to it. Alright, we're all set up here. Now I'm using a bipod on the front because it rests this gun nicely, and I'm standing in a freestanding, sort of semi-freestanding position in the back, rested in the front, freestanding in the back. Sighted this gun in fairly close to zero. Seems to shoot pretty good at 30 feet, and then we're also going to shoot a few at 50 to 60 feet. So let's start with 5 rounds here at 30 feet. I think I need to, there we go, that always helps. Alright, let's take a quick look. I can see that through the scope. It's not too bad. Maybe just a hair over 1.5 inches. Don't forget, this is an airsoft gun. Looks like we got a few dead center there too. Alright, so let's move out to the 50 to 60 foot range and see if we can get some on target. Alright, so we're set up here from about 60 feet away. I'd say it's at least 60 feet. I thought maybe 50, but it's about 60 feet away here. And I'm rested in the front. I'm actually sitting on a chair in the back. If I don't get this on target, I might adjust my aim point a little bit. So let's see what happens with the first round. Again, we're using the heavy 0.36 gram BBs. Here we go, first shot. A little low, but I'm going to just keep shooting at the center, because you never know, this is going to drift a bit. I'm just going to keep shooting until I feel I've shot enough to get an idea. What this gun's capable of at a distance here. I'm out. I'm going to reload real quick here. Alright, I'm back. Reloaded. Sorry about that. I guess I shot more than I thought. This is fun. Wow. It's getting right in there. Not bad. You could probably shoot a can easily from this distance. Alright, I think that establishes the accuracy there. I'm looking down there, with that exception of that low one, the first shot, I'm looking at about a 2-inch, maybe 2.5-inch group from 60 feet away. This thing could hit cans easily from 60 feet away. And if you notice, my aim point is exactly the same. I'm aiming dead center. With the hop up, the spin is keeping the BB elevated and pretty much right on an even plane all the way out. Whether you're shooting at 30 or 60 feet, it seems to be a straight trajectory, which is awesome. Now this gun is a lot of fun to shoot. Now keep in mind, airsoft BBs are kind of like, I kind of compare them to beach balls. If you're throwing a baseball, now compare a baseball to a 4.5 millimeter steel BB. It's going to not be affected by wind and stuff as much. As soon as you get larger and lighter, it kind of gets that beach ball effect, which starts to get tossed around a little bit by things like air and spin and who knows what. But if you start using heavy grain BBs like I'm using here in a sniper rifle, that's got a little bit of power behind it, you're going to get some decent accuracy out of it, as you can see here. Alright, I'm just going to shoot a few things just for fun, just to see what kind of penetration this gun does on things like cans and whatnot. And then we'll head inside. Do the round tin can there on its end. It's basically a tuna can. Well, we'll have to see what happened to that one. Soup can. And a can full of water. Might as well shoot it again. Let's get rid of that thing here. Don't give up. There we go. Oh! You're dead. Oh, I'm out. No. The can lives another day. Alright, so this gun performed pretty good in the chronograph test as expected using the lighter gram BBs. We got pretty close to the 450 mark, a little bit under. Now depending on the BBs you're using, you might be using a BB that's maybe a hair lighter or tighter in the barrel. It might get better velocities, just depends on how that fits the barrel and its actual true weight. But we got pretty close, so that's pretty good. Then I moved it up to the 0.36 gram BBs, and it still stayed above 300 feet per second. Now keep in mind, a 0.36 gram BB is almost the same weight as a 5.1 grain 4.5 millimeter steel BB. So the energy is going to be similar to an air gun or BB gun shooting metal BBs at around 300 feet per second. So we're pretty close there. Alright, now when we got to the target portion, I was really impressed. Now I did do some pre-sighting in, and I adjusted the sights to be centered on target, and I also adjusted the hop up so that at range the hop up effect would keep the trajectory of the BB on a similar plane to my 30-foot test. So my 30 and 60-foot ranges were almost exactly the same centered in. And it might take you a little while to set your gun up, but it really didn't take me too long. I adjusted the hop up pretty high, and then I backed it off a bit just to get it right where I wanted. And again, when we shot at 60 feet out, the gun almost performed just as well as it did at 30 feet. So that's pretty impressive. And of course, I added the tin can shooting and the pop can shooting. So I'm going to show you now what the BBs did to these cans. So you can see here, the BBs pretty much annihilated this can. Pretty much what you would expect from even a regular BB gun, similar results right through, even with water in it. Now because the BB is fairly wide, it's not metal, it's plastic, it's not going to penetrate steel like a metal BB would, because a metal BB has more mass for its diameter, and it's going to penetrate stuff. Even a pellet will have trouble penetrating a tin can because it'll expand and the energy is lost, similar to what happens with a plastic BB. But still, look at the dent. I wouldn't want to be hit by that. And lastly, this is a tuna can, and again, a very nice dent in this can. So this gun has some energy for sure coming out of it. And that's what makes it probably a pretty good sniper rifle, because you need that extra energy to get out to the longer ranges. Alright, so at this point we're going to get into the pros and the cons for this ASG AW 308 Airsoft Sniper Rifle. The first thing I have to say is this was extremely fun to shoot. Now you'd think that full auto or semi-auto guns are really going to be the fun guns to shoot. Working this bolt, taking your time, and just trying to pick items off is really fun with this gun. Like, it's hard to explain. Anyone can point a full auto gun at something and knock it over. But to set stuff up out at range and pick it off with this gun with very little difficulty is just a lot of fun. The other thing that I really like about it is the fact that you can just pick it up. All you need is to have some Airsoft BBs around and you're ready to go. You don't need any CO2, you don't need to have any batteries charged, you're just ready to go. Now again, this is a sniper rifle. You would expect it to have good accuracy, but you never know, and this gun really performed well. It got excellent accuracy at 30 feet and 60 feet, almost similar results. I didn't talk too much about the trigger. The trigger has a very nice pull. It's not too long and it's fairly crisp. Again, this gun has pretty decent power, considering all it's using is a spring, and it utilizes this power to hit targets further out than most airsoft guns. Now, there's good use of metal parts, everything that you really need to be metal: receiver, barrel, the rail system, the bolt, the loops for your straps are all metal. The only real plastic parts are the stock. And lastly, this gun's really fairly well priced. Now, when you start getting into airsoft rifles, you're looking at putting out a fair bit of money. This gun comes in nicely under $200. So really, once you add an inexpensive scope, it's a fairly reasonable package. Alright, so getting into some of the cons, you're going to need to spend money on a scope. That's one thing you're going to have to factor into the expense when you buy this gun. And you may want to add a bipod as well, like I've done here. You're also going to have to spend a little extra money on high quality, heavy grain BBs, or you really won't utilize the full potential of this gun when you're shooting it. Now, even though the stock looks to have an adjustable buttstock and cheek rest, I couldn't figure out any way to adjust it. And lastly, there was a couple things that weren't really explained in the manual, like that reset switch for the spring. That's what I'm going to call it because I really don't know what else to call it. I'm not even sure if that's what it's for, but that's the only explanation I have for you at this point, unless someone else has more information. Alright, so to finish off, I highly recommend this gun. Doesn't matter if you're into airsoft or not, you're going to enjoy shooting this gun. The simple fact that you can just pull it out and shoot, it's super quiet, really nice and accurate. I think anyone could enjoy using this gun. Alright, so thanks for watching another Replica Airguns video. Make sure to come down to replicaAirguns.com, check out my full review for this gun where I'll have some additional photos, maybe some more information that I might have left out of this review. We've also got our Replica Airguns Canada store where I have this item in stock. I don't have it in stock in the US store, but it is available in our Canada Replica Airguns store. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. Also check out my Facebook and Twitter channels. Username is Replica Airguns. I want to thank you again for watching another Replica Airguns video. Until next time, take care.